Hello, dear students. I'm Miss Lindley, and this is Plutarch. Before we begin reading any of Plutarch's work, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about who he was, when and where he lived, what he wrote, and why we still read it. Now, Plutarch may be a name that you're familiar with. We may have read him together, or we may have discussed him at some point, or he may be somebody that's very new to you. But either way, I wanted to start at the beginning. Plutarch was a writer and a philosopher and a statesman and a priest. He was born in 46 AD and he lived to 119 AD. He was born in an area of Greece that was a part of the Roman Empire. It was very important to him personally that he was ethnically and culturally and geographically Greek. But he also had his Roman citizenship, and he valued that as well. He very much had a Greco-Roman identity. When we talk about Greco-Roman history, this is a part of what sort of shapes that. Because when he wrote his biographies, he wrote a set of 48 biographies that we call the parallel lives. And it was a series of Greek and Roman biographies. He would set one figure from ancient Greece up against a Roman figure and sort of show the similarities between their character, whether it was vices or virtues, and help illustrate how those characteristics would shape not only a person's individual life and destiny, but the lives of their community and their entire nation. In a Charlotte Mason school, which is the education that we're all receiving here in our community, we don't read Plutarch as a part of history. He is important as a historical source. A lot of people have used him in that way, have used his writing in that way, but he actually is, for us, a part of our citizenship curriculum. Now, what do I mean when I say citizenship? Citizenship for us in this context just means the membership in a community. You are a citizen of your family. You're a citizen of your classroom, of your school community, of the city of Birmingham, the state of Alabama. These are all places where you have membership in a community. And so when we read Plutarch, it's helping us decide what are the qualities that are beneficial to me as a person, but also that help me to participate in a good way inside of my community. Another reason that we read Plutarch is because his works really informed a lot of writers and political figures and philosophers that helped shape the world that we live in right now. Shakespeare was raised on Plutarch. It was a part of his education, and we know that he borrowed huge sections from the lives to write things like Julius Caesar, Mark Antony and Cleopatra, Coriolanus. We also know that Plutarch was very important to the transcendentalist writers who came later. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote an intro to a version of the lives that was published during his lifetime, and he called it a Bible for heroes. It was also very important to Alexander Hamilton and several of the founding fathers, and it played a big role in the inspiration for the French Revolution as well. What makes them different than just a history is that instead of covering big important things like tactical decisions and massive battles and important political decisions, a lot of times Plutarch was focusing on small stories that reflected the individual's character, because it's really through their character that affected their judgment and their decisions and that shaped their community at large. Inside of Plutarch, a lot of times we'll have guiding quotes or ideas, things that we're going to try and keep in mind when we listen or when we read these lives, that help us kind of think about why we're reading this or what we might want to be asking of ourselves when we're listening to these stories or when we're reading them ourselves. I want to share one with you now, and I'm going to bring my phone up to do that. This quote is from Terry Tempest Williams, who's a writer, and she said, "The human heart is the first home of democracy. It is where we embrace our questions. Can we be equitable? Can we be generous? Can we listen with our whole beings, not just our minds, and offer our attention rather than our opinions? And do we have enough resolve in our hearts to act courageously, relentlessly, without giving up ever, trusting our fellow citizens to join with us in our determined pursuit of a living democracy. There's a lot of ideas inside of that, a lot of things for us to think about. What is a democracy? What is a relentless pursuit? What do these words mean? What does it mean to have it in our hearts? The human heart is the home of democracy. Those are things that we're going to think about as we begin to read these lives. We'll start out reading the life of an ancient Greek man named Nicias. This is also where I'm going to remind you, as I do every year, that there is a 100% chance that I will mispronounce a place or a person or an idea or a battle, especially when we're working with the Greek lives. And then as we go, I'm going to share with you the tradition that we have when we end our Plutarch classes. I'm going to end up with a quote that we attribute to Plutarch, which is, "A mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled." Now, the way that we usually say that is responsively. I would say the first part, and you would say the second part. And whatever path your teacher chooses to take this year, whether it becomes a part of your routine or not, I wanted to give us a chance to participate in that together right now. A mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. I look forward to reading these lives with you this year. Thanks.